And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Here's your guy back again, Adolphus AD Moore on AD Max Korner on the YouTube Live. Well, today the Houston Texans under the Bill had to face the team led by Bill Belichick, and I tell you what, the Texans they played it all the way down to really played it all the way to the end, but come up short. The Texans lost to the New England Patriots today, 25-22. And after last week, just told just disembowelment of what the Buffalo Bills done to them up in Orchard Park, and for them to come back today, and yes, both of them were 1-3 teams. Yes, both of them had rookie starting quarterbacks. One was a first-round draft pick. One was a third-round draft pick. But to say the comeback and to see how the Texans literally just competed. Yeah, this was a championship contending team that went to the AFC Championship in the Buffalo Bills last week. This has been a perennial team in the New England Patriots with all the Super Bowls and everything. But the Texans today came up short. But I tell you what, after having the paint peeled off the wall by David Culley and that lack of play and that lack of debacle that they had last week, for the fact that the Houston Texans turned it around and came out and played for all intent and purposes, played a damn good game. I mean, they did not win. Yeah, and I know I know for somebody say the object of the game is to win. Yep, you're absolutely right. You want to win the ball game. And really, the Texans had it in their hand. They had it in their purview, and they let it slip out. It's gone. The Texans let that game slip away from them today. But the success of the Texans, and I want to let Coach David Culley just give his view on why they was being so. Why was the Texans so successful on that vaunted Belichick type defense and the way they kept them off hand today? And this is Coach David Culley on why they were so successful starting the game and what they saw that they could do on the New England Patriots.
Knowing exactly how they were going to play us, we had seen in some ball games where that certain people had done some things on them when they played a certain way, and we had some plays for them that did that, the flea flicker, some things that we had going on there, some of the screens, the quick screens that we had, and they were playing the scheme that we thought they were going to end up playing for those plays to work, and we called them and they worked, and Timmy did a nice job of taking advantage of it.
Yeah, Coach is absolutely correct. I mean, the Texans had the New England Patriots off kilter really for better than say I want to say really almost for 3/4 of the game. But you know, they kept hanging around. The Texans were very methodical. In fact, the Texans used a lot of motion, a lot of movement, and they kept a lot of different things. They threw a lot. Basically, they threw the kitchen sink at Belichick's defense today, and all that movement and everything, I think, proved to be very beneficial as far as what the Houston Texans were concerned, because they jumped out and they had a lead, and they kept the lead all the way to the bitter end, and that's when the Pats came in, tied the game, and really at that last moment, that diabolical mind of Bill Belichick, when they got a chance to get the ball back after what I would consider the turning point of the game, was the fact that the Texans tried to go for a 56-yard field goal for Fairbairn, and Fairbairn had already missed two what I would consider makeable PATs. Yeah, I know everybody knows they moved the PAT back from the normal from the 2-yard line. He missed two of them today. In fact, what was interesting about this game, in fact, I'm still doing some research trying to find out. The first 3 touchdowns scored in this contest today, all 3 of the PATs were missed. Fairbairn was wide right twice, and Folks missed his left. In fact, no, Folks missed his wide right. So I'm not sure if somebody cut the air on. Did somebody open up a door? What happened with the case as far as what happened today? But it was sort of a game of comical errors to see exactly what was happening and why they were missing the touchdown, missing the PATs today. Well, I tell you what, we got Big Sarge is coming in, Brian Barefield, getting ready to bring him in, and I'm going to get his initial thoughts. And he's waiting in the wings. In fact, I'm going to bring him on in now. Big Sarge, what's up, man?
How's it going?
I'm doing great. You got your hat on right, man?
Yeah, and I only got it on because, I didn't want to come on your show talking about the Texans, and I'm a Cowboys fan, so I didn't want to put on my Dallas Cowboy hat, so I just put on my Cowboy hat to let you know. I mean, because they win in 44-20, I think. They're just going to be 4-1, but we're not here to talk about the best professional football team in Texas right now. We're here to talk.
We sure not, because we understand that you pulled. I mean, we know you're a Cowboy fan, and there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. You eat, sleep. I think you might even salute a Jerry Jones pitcher every once in a while, if I'm not mistaken. But we're not gonna get into that. But anyway, let's get back your initial thoughts of the Texans game today. And what are you coming about everything?
So if I'm being professional, right now, and let me take this head off. If I'm being professional, AD, I will say this is that I really like the way that the Houston Texans played in the first half. What I don't understand is what happened in that second half. Now, and I started off by saying if I'm being professional, I will say that. But if I'm being a jokester, I would say, did Bill O'Brien or Steve Sarkisian come and grab the playbook from Tim Kelly at halftime and say, hey, we got it from here? Because we watched those epic meltdowns with Bill O'Brien in the second half with with Alabama versus A&M with the play calling, and we watched it with Steve Sarkisian, head coach of University of Texas, against Oklahoma. And that's what it looked like. It looked like a tale of two halves. It's almost like Tim Kelly said, whoa, we're having too much success. Let's slow this thing down. I did not like the fact that the Houston Texans went so conservative in the second half. All those plays, we were sitting right next to each other at the Texas press conference, and I heard what Coach Cully said, but some of those plays didn't have anything to do with penalties. Some of the plays that they ran, some of the things that they done on offense didn't have anything to do with the fact that they were getting penalties. It was just that they got too conservative. And too many times, because you have been covering this team for a very long time, too many times in that second half, it looked like they went back to the Bill O'Brien offense and say, let's just hand the ball off. Let's just hand the ball off. When you clearly have a quarterback who's finally put together a good game. A quarterback who is finally starting to get it. A quarterback who's the game has started to slow down for him against a Bill Belichick-led defense.
Thank you. And let's stop. Let's explain to folks what Belichick goes in when he finds he'll take either your best part away from you, or he will find something. He'll find your weakness and he will exploit it, and he will exploit it, and he will exploit it to the point that it almost would just be, it'll drive you crazy. But when you look at Davis Mills today, that and I mentioned it earlier before you came on, was the fact that this was not the same quarterback that I saw last week in Orchard Park. This guy, I'm not sure if they went back. I want to say they expanded the playbook, because every time I think they tried to shorten the playbook. In fact, I sort of directed a question to Cully, after that first down play, when they didn't make it, did y'all just shorten it? He said no. I said, okay, fine. And they're calling the plays, but today this was a totally different young man. This was a young man that had a lot of confidence, and he was literally just out there with the move, with the motion, with everybody going in motion and everything. They had the New England Patriots running around like a fire drill going on out there. They were looking on defense. The New England Patriots looked very undisciplined out there, particularly in that first half.
And this also goes back to this. The reason why I say this falls on Tim Kelly, and the last 3 weeks falls on Tim Kelly, because I want to take you back to the 2-minute drill of the Carolina Panthers game. Remember that? The
Yep.
Texans scored on that. And then they came out in the second half and went back conservative. Hey, we're going to try, to establish the running game. You're not going to establish the running game, especially against the Carolina Panthers. The next week you come in, you say you're going to open up the playbook against the number one defense at the time in the Buffalo Bills. And then you come in today and you allow this young man to get out and do what he needs to do as far as, getting out of the pocket, running different types of plays, keeping the defense, like you said, keeping the defense off balance. And then in the second half, you go all the way back to as if he came into the game in the second half of the game of the Cleveland Browns. And so this falls on Tim Kelly because in the Carolina game, you should have opened up the playbook for him, especially in that second half. You didn't have to open it up all the way, but you should have opened it up. Then in Buffalo, you say, oh, we're going to expand a little bit, but I didn't see anything. Those were the same plays that I seen. Actually, some of those are like the same plays that Bill O'Brien used to run when he was here. And then you do open it up in the first half against the New England Patriots, and then you go right back. And so that's what I'm saying. These last 3 weeks have been on Tim Kelly, and nobody really wants to say that. And that's the thing that makes me upset, because nobody really wants to talk about that. They want to blame Coach Cully for everything. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. Coach Cully is the head coach. But what a lot of people don't realize is Coach Cully is not calling the plays on the offense or the defensive side of the ball. And I'm going to be honest with you. AD, you still there?
No, go ahead, man. Go.
Right.
We gave you the platform, man. Go ahead. Keep going.
And I'm one of those people who I like Coach Smith. I like defense coordinator Lovie Smith. I really do. But I haven't seen him outside of the takeaways. Yes, they are getting takeaways. They're getting more than what they have in the past. But if you're going to sacrifice you're going to sacrifice the middle of your defense for one interception. If you're going to sacrifice your defense for maybe a turnover, then no, you're not doing anything right. He made the statement 2 weeks ago that he wants to get pressure with 4 people up front. Okay, I get that. I understand that. You could do that if your defensive line was, let's say, the defensive line of the Buffalo Bills, the defensive line of the Los Angeles Rams, of the Los Angeles Chargers. Like, if you had those type of players, I could understand, but you don't. And that's nothing against the Houston Texans defensive front 4. They're just not as good as the teams that I named. And so you're trying to get the pressure with front 4. You're not blitzing. You're not doing anything but the Tampa 2, and anybody that has the internet can go in and say, I wonder let's see, Tampa 2 back in 2004? Oh, here's the hole. We're going to, right here in the flats, right here in the middle. And I heard what Justin Reed said, and that's why I specifically asked him about today in the press conference, post-game press conference, about allowing the big plays. And he says they're baiting them. Well, y'all ain't catching no fish with that bait. And well, let me take that back. You ain't catching no big fish with that bait, because too many times today I seen where the middle of the field was wide open. Why are you giving the middle of any quarterback could hit the middle of the field? You're playing against a rookie quarterback, and this is what you do. I expected more from Coach Lovie Smith today as far as putting the pressure on a rookie quarterback like Mac Jones. And you also have 4 offensive linemen out for the New England Patriots, and you don't bring any type of blitz. I'll put it like this. I think that Mac Jones may have seen more confusing defensive coverages when he was at practice at the University of Alabama than he did today.
It's a heck of an indictment, man. You raise some interesting points, because watching today, I didn't see a whole lot of combo rushes from the Texas front 4 either. Playing some games, because as you stated, they had 4 offensive linemen. Yeah, we understand. We all understand. They are all professional. They all get a check on Monday. That's direct deposit. Everybody's gonna get paid on Monday. Yes. But the fact of the matter remains, the experience level, and with the pedigree of a defensive coordinator and you have in Lovie, all right, let's play. If you're gonna keep it with your front 4, I tell you what, where's the combo games where you start playing? what's the loops, the ins and the outs, trying to confuse their blocking assignments and everything. Hadn't seen that yet. And I'm sort of wondering, it just sitting there, just trying to wonder why. Because I guarantee you one thing, in that second half, Belichick changed some things. Of course, he changed some things, and then with the combination of what Tim Kelly did not call, or what they seem to have gotten away from, that was making everything work in the first half, then all of a sudden in the second half, and I'm like you, I'm sitting there. Who says that the run sets up the pass? We know this is the new NFL states that the pass can set up the run, because the thing about it, when you can back folks, when you can get 7 and 8 out of that box, or that proverbial box, when you can start making folks back up because you just burning them on several different pass routes, then the defense has to loosen up. Then when it loosens up, guess what? Those stretch plays that you're trying to run, they start opening up, because gaping holes start opening up. And you saw that today, particularly in the latter part of the fourth quarter again, when the Texans defense started to get a little tired, because the exposure, like it was last week in Buffalo, you keep pounding at a team, you keep pounding at them, eventually they give up. And let's face it, I think the fact that defensively, they had the opportunities to go ahead and shut it down. But I think offensively, you put your defense in a position today, like you did last week. You didn't give them enough. You gave them several things, but and I know Lovey was. I mean, if Lovey be frank, Lovey would sit there and say it's still left up to us to come take the ball away. Well, let's face it, you're not going to take the ball away every time. I mean, those are very opportunistic type. I don't care. The most opportunistic defense is not going to be that successful. I mean, and I realize right now the Texans defense is ranking real high as far as takeaways are concerned. But let's face and let's
they down there when it comes to. I'm sorry. They have a high number when it comes to big plays given up too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Make no mistake about it, because the thing about it, because if you notice when the big plays come against the Texans, what is the offense is doing? They spread the Texans out.
Yep.
They spread the Texans out. When we line up and when we now today and let's give kudos where kudos lie. The Texans were 3 for 3 on fourth down today.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a rarity. I mean, but they were 3 for 3, and every time when David Mills on fourth down, 4th and 4, that little quick slant to Cooks was open. I mean, there were several times he was open, and I'm sitting there going like, okay, somebody's starting to get it. You trusted him to do this on fourth down, then keep it up. I mean, I thought I would have gone a chance to see the hurry up offense. You mentioned to it like the Carolina game at the end when they went to the no huddle, and I saw that. And one of the questions I asked Cully at the end of that contest, was it any thought process maybe about just continuing to go to the no huddle, because it seemed like Davis Mills, because of the pacing of the game, it sort of lends to his pedigree and being successful. But who knows, man? It's hard. It's hard sometimes to figure out. Do y'all want victory, or do you want to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat? I'm not sure which way you want to go, Brian.
Exactly. And I will say this before we move away from before I mention more about the offense, I want to make sure that I said this about the defense. The one thing that I don't like what the Texans defense is doing. So here you have a guy in Zach Cunningham who is being exposed because he's not good in coverage. And in that Tampa 2, you're making him drop into too many pass coverages. You're making him drop into zone. He doesn't know how to drop deep. He's still learning depth. He's still learning depth perception when it comes to fooling the quarterback, thinking that he's deeper than he is. Because sometimes he's too shallow, and then sometimes he's too deep. But when you have a linebacker core that consists of Zach Cunningham and Christian Kirksey, and I can't pronounce his name, the Gramuger Hill,
Grunge Hill.
Yeah. And so when you have that, you got 3 aggressive linebackers that wants nothing more to be able to say, Coach, let us just pin our ears back and go after the quarterback at least once. You give Zach Cunningham the green light to go after the quarterback, you're going to see a whole different Zach Cunningham. You give Christian Kirksey that amount of time, you're going to see something totally different. But if you keep telling them, okay, drop in coverage, drop in this spot, drop in that spot, make sure you're stopping the run, but making sure your first priority is to go to an area. Well, guess what? When you're playing against a coach like Bill Belichick, he's going to say, okay, they're going to keep doing the same thing. He is the master of second half adjustments. And if you give him time to look and see what you did, I'll give you another example. Do you remember in the preseason game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Houston Texans? The first drive, they stopped Tom Brady.
Right.
Tom Brady came back and said, well, if this is the look y'all going to keep on giving me, then watch this. Bam. Touchdown drive. And I think, I don't know if they took it out. I think he may have had 2 touchdown drives, but that's what I'm saying. If you
went to no huddle. But if you remember, they went to the no huddle. Brady went over to the sideline. They had a quick huddle, and then when they came back out, the 2 successive drives, Brady just went like boom, 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 down the field, came back, boom, 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 boom. They changed it up and just went like, okay, y'all want to do this? This is what we're getting ready to do to you.
And that's what happened today with the Patriots. And the one thing that I like about what New England did today, they took whatever the defense gave them. Okay, when we can't get a touchdown, hey, we'll take these little 3 points. We'll take these 3 points here. We'll take it. It'll just keep getting us back into the game and keep getting us back into the game. And I know now that my defense is going to go on the field, and I have coached them up at the half to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to stop. Here's the thing, AD, and I have a quick question for you. I like the fact that they went to the tight ends a lot today on the offense. I'm talking about the Houston Texans. I like the fact they use the tight ends a lot. But you also have a big, fast, wide receiver in Chris Conley, and you only get him, 1 pass, 2 passes maybe?
Yeah.
You've got to involve him more in that offense. But you're not doing that. He's just not getting it done.
Well, again, like I say, it's either I'm gonna get a whole lot of this and a little of it, instead of just sort of like sifting flour. Throw it all in there, put it in the sift, and just make the defenses cover the whole field. Yes. The Texans don't make the Texans right now. They don't make the defense cover the whole field. But you know what? Let's get. I want to get comments from David. The running back today, David Johnson, on and his comments on about the offense and the way things move today.
And again, we felt like that depending on what they were going to, we felt like they was going to try to get a first down there. I mean, try to score or whatnot. But we had a little time. We felt like that they threw the ball and had an incomplete pass, and obviously that actually helped us. But again, as I said earlier before, I mean, we thought about letting them score, but at that point, when they did an incomplete pass, we actually almost tried to let them score at one time, and then there was a penalty.
Yeah, that was a coach. I mean, remember that was the coach. The question I asked him, what they thought about doing like the opening of the Red Sea and letting them score. But David Johnson and the success that they was having, and that sort of bitter pill, that clip is coming up. I think it's coming up. Yes, it's not coming up. But anyway, we'll get back to it. Sarge, this one thing I would like, and I know we've been talking football and everything, and the day was like the pink ribbon day. And I know I know this sort of is a personal thing with you. And I know you had alerted me, that the press conference, because they had a cancer survivor there, and I realized cancer, has been tough with you and your family. Give us a little insight on that interview that they had with the young lady and the effect that it's had with your family.
Well, the young lady who was the team captain, what they call home field advantage team captain today, for the Houston Texans game today. She got a chance to ring the bell, actually. And so, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. They brought in a young lady whose name is Elizabeth Weiss. And during a self-check on herself, just feeling around on her chest because she said that something didn't feel right. She started to feel some abnormalities. And so at the age of 37, she had her first mammogram. And she said as time went on, something just didn't feel right, especially with the history that she has of cancer in her family. She says that her aunt had 13 kids, 8 of them were girls, and 3 of them were diagnosed with breast cancer. So she knew that breast cancer ran in her family. And so she said that she kept going to the doctor, and 1 month and 1 day after she turned 40 years old, 1 month and 1 day after she turned 40 years old, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so she said that the hardest thing for her was the fact that she's not married, she doesn't have any kids, and she said she didn't know if she was ever going to be able to start a family, because anytime you hear the word cancer, no matter what form of cancer it is, it's one of those ones that it will make you think, what if I'm not here? What if I'm not here? What if I'm not here? Now, everybody knows my story that, I lost my wife, my wife to colon cancer before she turned 40 years old. She passed away September of 2017. And so she didn't even get a chance to reach her 40th birthday, which is something that we talked about today. I talked about with Miss Weiss today, that a lot of young people don't take into account that cancer will affect you no matter what age you are. Cancer doesn't discriminate. It doesn't discriminate against age. It doesn't discriminate against sex. It doesn't discriminate against race, gender, none of that. It does not discriminate. And so with that being said, when I was talking to this young lady, she said that I would advise any and everybody to go out and get checked, because if you feel that there's any abnormality, no matter what age you are, you need to go get checked so you can take preventative measures in order to see if you can stop it or at least know how to deal with it. It was emotional for me because I'm sitting here and I'm watching a young lady who had survived cancer, and then in the back of my mind thinking that my late wife did not survive cancer. And so that was really good that the Houston Texans were able to bring her out. And they had a bunch of if you notice, before the game started, she was the team captain that rang the bell, but they also had a bunch of breast cancer survivors or people that's dealing with been diagnosed with breast cancer that came out today. They held the flag. And so that was, like I said, that was a very good thing that they did.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and a lot of folks can accuse the NFL of a lot of flag waving. It's the goose, but you know what? There are certain things that just is beyond. It has to be beyond more than about football. It's got to be about life. Because let's face it. I mean, we both have covered guys who really it has touched them, and touched the immediate part of their families and everything. So. I applaud, like I said, applaud the Texans. I applaud the NFL. I mean, I'll give them their due when they need to be due, and I'll criticize when it needs to be criticized. But I appreciate. Thank you, and I hope I didn't put you at a disadvantage, because I know how it has affected your family. But I'm glad to just want to get that perspective there, because we're not only going to talk sports here. It's a lot. I mean, it's more to life than just the candy store life, what we call the candy store life, when talking about sports. As we get toward the end and get ready to wrap it up, I want to play that clip from Justin Reed about that kick in the gut that they got today, because I think you and I both and everybody else know, and I know they definitely know that they let one slip away today, and I want to get that clip in before we get ready to wrap it up and get ready to go see about the Astros. And I'm gonna get your scouting report on where the Astros are right now before we get out of here.
Yeah, this one hurt a lot. The game was right there. We had control of the game, and we let it slip through our fingertips. Couple unfortunate plays, couple plays that they made, and credit to them to go and close the game out. Just wish we could have someone back. We always do whenever games end the way they do. When games end the way they do like that.
I mean, you can't you wrapped it up and put it in a bow. You just can't. I mean, when the game is in your hand, you got to go ahead and a team like the New England Patriots. Just because Brady's not there, you still got the Dante Hightowers there. You still got a lot of other people there that knows how to win, knows what it takes to put a team away. and you know, it was very methodical while I was sitting there while I was sitting there doing, you know, right prior to at the end when it got down to that 2-minute mark, and when the Patriots were marching down for that winning score, I'm sitting there going like, I said, you know what, Belichick's gonna run this thing all the way to the end. And I'll be doggone. He all the way to the very end. He left him 10 seconds left on the clock. You know, he left him 10 seconds left on the clock. But hey, that's the way it is. As I stated, the Pats walked out here in the 25-22 victory today. Sarge, before we let you go, let's talk about the Astros. They up 2-0 on the White Sox. They're on the south side. They're going to the south side today in Chicago. What's your feel? I know you've been covering them for the last this championship run. What's your feel?
Well, I know they're up 2-0 right now, and with the next two games, Game 3 and Game 4, if necessary, because this is a best-of-5 series, and the Astros could close it out tonight. Now, I know some people are going to be mad at me, some people who are listening to this right now, including my girlfriend over there who's a diehard Astros fan. I know she's going to look at me crazy when I get off of here with you. It's going to be hard for the Astros to pull it out tonight, only because Chicago, who is a very good team. They are a very good team. They're going home. It's emotional. They may have that energy running high because they are at home. The same way the Houston Astros are able to take 2 games here. You also have a pitcher in Luis Garcia, rookie pitcher, who I think he's pitched 155 innings, and that's the most he's ever pitched in his entire career. And so we're hoping that fatigue doesn't set in with him. They have a very good lineup. You know, they have Tim Anderson who can hit. They have Abreu who can hit. I mean, they just have a dangerous lineup. So I can see the Astros losing only because emotions, and then them taking it in Game 4 and then being able to come home and rest. But it's very hard to beat the Houston Astros 2 games in a row. And what I mean a healthy, excuse me. It's hard to be a healthy Houston Astros team. You have to catch them when they have COVID issues or when they have injuries. You catch them at a full lineup. I wrote a article today for Houston Magazine called Lucky Number 7, and I talked about Kyle Tucker. And the reason why I titled it Lucky Number 7 is because you think about this lineup, AD. You got Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, Gurriel, Correa. That's 6 really good players and hitters before you get to the guy who just won September Player of the Month in the American League, and Kyle Tucker. So by the time you get to the 7th batter, the pitcher's like, man, what else can I do? Not to include coming behind them, Jake Myers and Chaz McCormick, whichever one of them is playing center field. There are no easy outs. The only easy out you may get to is Martin Maldonado. And so that lineup from 1 to 7 is very hard for a pitcher to pitch around them, and especially because they can hit for average and they can hit for power. I mean, you look at Jose Altuve. Earlier this year, he just wanted to be a power hitter. So he hit a lot of home runs. And then towards the end of the season, he started to get back to the 2017 American League MVP, Jose Altuve, and started hitting for average. Yuli Gurriel is the 2021 American League batting champion. And he bats, 5th? 2 batters before him, the second batter in the lineup was the 2021 American League batting champion runner-up. So there's no way. You have to have an elite pitching staff in order to beat them, to stop them bats from going off. And then on the opposite side of that, you're looking at a team that has by far the best defensive infield in baseball. So you hit a ground ball. You just seen what Altuve did the other day. I mean, looked like he was almost in center field and made that throw. You're not getting anything past Carlos Correa. So it's going to take a lot. And like I said, if they lose tonight, it will be because Chicago has that emotional edge on them. But when they come back tomorrow, they're going to go ahead and put it away and come on back home and wait to see who they're playing in the ALCS.
Yeah, like I said, I personally, I'm gonna be candid with you. I'm pulling hard for Dustin Baker because he's had teams to the all the way there, and his pitching sort of failed him. But I think this team can get them all the way and let them come back with a World Series title. And but the thing about it, last question. Then I'm gonna let you run. Are we seeing the last of Carlos Correa here?
So that's a touchy subject. And we just got through talking to the owner, Jim Crane. And Jim Crane said, we're not used to giving out big contracts. He said that. And he said, what I mean by big contracts is the amount of years that Carlos wants. Because Carlos wants 10 years. So he's like, we're not used. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Lindor got 10 years, 340 million.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so it isn't the amount of money, it's the
number of years
he does not want to be tied into that contract. But you're looking at, by far, the best defensive shortstop to play the game. Not only that, you're looking at your team captain. You're looking at your heart and soul. Those players believe in Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa, you remember after the 2017 cheating scandal came out, there was only one person that went and did the interview and called out people and said, hey, look, yeah, we did it. But by the same token, this guy didn't do it and this guy didn't do it, and y'all can paint us as the bad guy. You can paint me as the bad guy, but you're not going to keep talking bad about the Astros or whatever the case may be. You need a player like that on your team, especially when you have a team that is filled with a lot of Latin players. Those Latin players really, really, really look up to Carlos Correa because he's the voice. So he's a vocal leader. You know, you have you look at Jose Altuve, he's quiet. You look at Correa, he's quiet. Jordan is very quiet. You know, Michael Brantley, he walks off and carries a big stick. And so, I don't know, is that the buzzer for me to go? No, just messing with you. But he's a silent leader as well. So they need Carlos Correa, but Carlos ain't giving them no hometown discount. And I understand it because he said, pay me right now, and then let's just move on. But if you wait to pay me by the end of the year, yesterday's prices ain't today's prices. And if you look at the body of work that Carlos has put in this year, even last year, I mean, if it wasn't for Carlos, they wouldn't have made it to Game 7 of the ALCS. So that body,
I think it's safe to say that he could be doing just like George Springer. We might be seeing his back and heading out the door. Big Sarge, I appreciate you, bro. You keep calling up the light.
Whoa. Before you let me go, and I know we on a time number crunch, and I know I got to get ready to go. They finna do the first pitch. I will not leave this show. I would not leave your show without saying that, man, look. I'm trying to say it without getting emotional. Man, Max meant so much to me. Max meant so much to me to the point where I just liked being in his presence, because one, he ain't taking no crap from nobody. He don't care who it is. He don't care. And he had the credentials and the pedigree to back up whatever he said. He was always willing to help. He was always willing to talk to me, pull me to the side, because Max know that I was even though I was older, I was very young in this game. Mm-hmm. And he would pull me to the side. We talk. I'll never forget the last day of training camp. He was coming from the barbershop. I was leaving out of training camp, and he had just pulled up. And I was leaving, and he rolled the window down. He's like, Sarge, come over here for a second. So I walked over there, and we just got to chopping it up and talking and this, that, and other. And when I stood there for about 30 minutes, he's like, I just came from the barbershop. I wasn't missing my appointment. And so he drove off. And then later on, I seen him on Father's Day at the Astros game because he was there with his son.
Right.
And I seen him, and I said, there go Max. I'll talk to him later. I'll get a chance to talk to him later. And I never did, man. When Kim Davis told me what happened, I sat on the floor for an hour and just cried, man. I just cried because I can't believe, I couldn't believe it. And I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but I can say this. I can say this, and I know he wouldn't get mad at me. Indy Kalu too. Indy and I talk about Max all the time. And if you listen to his show,
Yep.
in the trenches, he'll always say the late, great Max Edison. And so, man, I just couldn't leave this show without saying how much Max meant to me.
Well, you see what the name of it. You see what the name of this show is.
Yeah.
You know, I take it with me everywhere.
Yeah.
Sarge, Frat, I love you, bro.
Thank you. Now I appreciate it.
All right, man. Keep holding up the light, man. Keep grinding him. Go ahead and get the Astros on. I'm gonna be flipping back and forth because you know I'm going football, man.
Yeah,
you know how it goes with me, man.
It's the Chiefs tonight, right? The Chiefs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that, man. Got a little excited.
All right, I'll see you next week.
All right, man. Be careful. Be blessed, man. Take care.
Call your son. Tell him I want that 98. All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Later, man. All right. Take care. Chris, jump in real quick and while we get ready to take it to the house, man. How the Rockets? What's the status on them young thoroughbreds that the Rockets got going over there?
Their next game will be preseason game will be tomorrow in Toronto against the Raptors. It's a good thing the youngsters are healthy because Eric Gordon is dealing with an ankle issue. Coach Silas says doesn't believe it's going to be serious. ED didn't look too good today in practice, but it's I think still a week or so away for the start of the season and the game's really counting. So Coach Silas is not worried about Eric Gordon's ankle just yet. We'll see if it becomes an issue. And I want to say, brother, props to you and Sarge for the show today, man. You know, it's good to see two of y'all talking football, chopping it up, and always, you know, good to hear another person acknowledge what Max Edison meant to that person. So because we know how much Max meant to me and meant to you.
Yep.
And you, me, Sarge, Kim, we all gonna continue mentioning Max in everything we do going forward, because part of this was his inspiration for us doing shows like this. So we're going to keep pushing him and acknowledging Max Edison in everything we do going forward.
Appreciate it, Chris. Hey, man, take care. Take care, Mom. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. We're getting to the end. Next week, forgot what Texas is on the road next week. They're on the road for the next couple of weeks. But you know what? We'll still be back here on the corner, and we'll be prepared to chop it up, win, lose, or draw. We'll be able to bring you a smorgasbord, not only just football, but like I said, we'll bring it to you and we'll put it on the table. We hope you enjoyed it. Again, Chris Gardner, I appreciate it. Big Sarge, I appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you miss it, go back onto the AD Max Korner on the YouTube channel, and you can pick up the prior shows on there. Without further ado, deuces, peace, Paka. That's what I learned in Russia, Chris, how to foreign language.
All right, you a bad man. Okay. Peace.
Peace. Hey, we